One night, a young girl named Aurora cannot fall asleep because she keeps hearing something moving under her bed. She panics and calls for help, and her adoptive parents rush in. Aurora warns them not to step on her bedroom floor. She's convinced that if they do, the monster under her bed will come up and eat them. Her adoptive mother checks under the bed and finds nothing, but Aurora is shaking with fear and keeps insisting they back away. Eventually, her parents leave the room and turn off the lights, thinking it is just another nightmare. Aurora is still too scared to stay inside, so she ends up sleeping out on the balcony outside her room. While she is sitting there, she spots a shooting star. She makes a desperate wish for someone strong enough to help her fight whatever is hiding under her bed. And that wish changes everything. This is Dust Bunny. Not long after, a firefly drifts close and then flies down toward a man walking nearby. Aurora recognizes him right away. It is Mads, the neighbor from the apartment next door. In Aurora's mind, this feels like an answer to her wish. The next day, Aurora secretly watches Mads when he comes home. Then that night, she follows him from a distance. When he reaches the city center, the streets are packed because a Lunar New Year celebration is in full swing. To avoid being noticed, Aurora grabs a mask she finds in the trash and slips it on. From there, she climbs up and trails Mads from above, keeping him in sight as he moves through the crowd. From her viewpoint, Aurora sees Mads head into a narrow alley, where he is approached by something that looks like a dragon. Down below, Mads fights fiercely as fireworks explode around them. Aurora is completely mesmerized, convinced she is watching him battle a dragon during the festival. But the truth is far more dangerous. Mads is not fighting a mythical creature at all. He is taking down assassins who are disguised as dragon dance performers. And he does it with terrifying ease, wiping them out on his own. Afterward, Mads returns to his apartment and carefully cleans every drop of blood, making sure no one could ever link him to what happened. And the whole time, he has already known Aurora was following him. The next night, just as Aurora is about to fall asleep, she hears movement under her bed again. From beneath her blanket, she listens as her adoptive parents come in, and then suddenly, they are attacked by something that rises from below. Aurora freezes, unable to move, forced to listen to their screams as the monster strikes. By morning, Aurora wakes up and uses a small hippo statue to move around without touching the floor. She goes to check her parents' room and finds it completely trashed. The room is a wreck, and they are gone. That is all Aurora needs to believe the monster truly ate them. That night, Aurora is terrified to even step down. Using the hippo statue again, she makes her way into her bedroom, hopping carefully from one piece of furniture to the next to reach her bed. Then she drops a grape by accident, and her heart sinks. She watches as something like a claw slips out from under the floor and grabs the grape. A second later, the room goes dark as the lamp is destroyed. Aurora throws her blanket, trying to protect herself, but it is suddenly yanked down into a hole, as if something is pulling from below. In pure panic, Aurora tries to jump toward the balcony, but a massive monster rises from under the bed. She clings on and fights to stay upright, barely holding herself together as the creature surges up, then slips back down into the floor again. The next morning, Aurora wakes up and immediately looks down at the floor. For a moment, she convinces herself that everything from the night before was just a bad dream. But then she notices the broken lamp in her room, and that is when it hits her that it was all real. Desperate for help, Aurora disguises herself as a church donation collector. She steals some donation money and runs back to the apartment. Later that day, as Mads checks his mailbox, he finds a letter written by Aurora. In it, she explains that she wants to hire him to kill the monster living under her bed, and she even includes some cash as payment. Aurora then goes to see Mads in person and asks for his help. Instead of agreeing right away, Mads questions why she believes he could fight a monster at all. Aurora explains that she once saw him defeat a dragon during the Lunar New Year celebration. Mads tells her that monsters are not real, but Aurora refuses to back down. When Mads asks whether she ever told her parents about what she saw, Aurora reveals that her adoptive parents are gone. She believes they were eaten by the monster. Mads does not believe her and asks for proof. Aurora takes him into her apartment and shows him her parents' bedroom, which has been completely destroyed. Mads points out that if a monster really killed them, there should be blood everywhere. Aurora insists the monster swallowed them whole. As Mads looks around, he finds a bullet casing on the floor and notices deep gashes in the walls. He questions how a monster could cause such chaos without any neighbors hearing a thing. Aurora explains that the creature can somehow silence screams. This only makes Mads more skeptical. He then asks why Aurora never went to the police. Aurora turns the question back on him, asking what he would even say if he were in her place. Mads has no answer. He presses further, asking why the monster would target her parents. Aurora believes it happened simply because they stepped on the floor. Frustrated, Mads tries to explain that no creature kills people for something so meaningless, and that there must be another reason. Even so, Mads feels sorry for her. He agrees to help Aurora, but returns the money. He makes it clear that he does not need to be paid. That night, Mads goes to meet someone named Laverne, a high-ranking figure within the assassin organization. He hands her photos of Aurora's adoptive parents and asks if she recognizes them, explaining that they were neighbors who suddenly disappeared. Laverne finds it strange that Mads would care about his neighbors at all. Mads explains that the missing couple's adopted child came to him for help, believing her parents were eaten by a monster under her bed. He suspects the truth is far simpler and far darker, that a hired killer was targeting him, went to the wrong apartment, and killed the wrong people. Instead of being relieved, Laverne grows uneasy. A child has seen Mads' face and knows what he does, which is a serious threat to the organization. Mads insists there is nothing to worry about, because the child believes a monster is responsible. Even so, Laverne advises him to kill the child and leave. If he does not, another assassin will eventually be sent to silence her. Later that same night, Mads senses someone approaching. Fearing the worst, he rushes to Aurora's room and hides her inside a closet. He then conceals himself above the ceiling. Moments later, an assassin breaks in, clearly there to kill Aurora. Mads immediately launches into a fight. At the same time, another assassin, a woman, enters Aurora's room through the window and fires at the bed. When she realizes Aurora is not there, she opens the closet and finds her hiding inside. Just as she is about to act, something rises behind her. The monster suddenly appears and devours the assassin whole. Aurora can only stand there, frozen, witnessing everything. After a brutal struggle, Mads manages to kill the assassin he is fighting. He checks on Aurora, who explains that an armed woman came through the window and was taken by the monster. Mads cannot accept this and questions why the monster spared him, even though he was also standing on the floor. Aurora, terrified, has no answer. Mads carries Aurora to the kitchen and carefully inspects her room. He finds bullet marks, confirming that she was telling the truth. He then grabs a suitcase and drags the body of the assassin he killed into the bathroom, planning to hide it inside the suitcase to erase any trace. Aurora later asks why he does not simply leave the body in her room for the monster to eat. Mads dismisses the idea, believing his method makes far more sense. The next day, Aurora wonders why armed people keep coming after them. Mads finally explains that her adoptive parents were not eaten by a monster, but were killed by assassins who targeted the wrong apartment. He believes the attackers who came the previous night were either trying to kill him or trying to kill Aurora because she knows who he really is. Aurora is confused and cannot understand why anyone would want them dead. Mads continues to insist that monsters are not real. He explains that what she saw during the Lunar New Year celebration was not a dragon at all, but assassins disguised as performers who were trying to kill him, seeking revenge for one of their own he had taken out earlier. Aurora grows frustrated, angry that Mads still refuses to believe the monster is real. Suddenly, someone knocks on the apartment door. Mads opens it and finds a woman named Brenda, who claims she is from social services and says this is a scheduled visit. Thinking quickly, Mads pretends to be Aurora's adoptive parent. Brenda brings up the fact that Aurora is already with her third foster family, which clearly catches Mads off guard. He brushes it off and asks Brenda to come back later that night, saying he is busy. Before leaving, Brenda confirms that she will return in the evening. After she leaves, Mads watches through the window and sees Brenda get into a suspicious-looking van. That is when his doubts grow stronger. He starts to believe she is not a social worker at all, but an FBI agent working undercover. Mads then turns his attention back to Aurora and asks about her previous adoptive parents. If the ones who were eaten by the monster were her third foster parents, what happened to the others? Aurora calmly explains that all of her adoptive parents were eaten by the monster. This only deepens Mads' disbelief, but Aurora insists she is telling the truth. When he presses further about where the monster came from, Aurora explains that it appeared after she made a wish upon seeing a shooting star. Mads struggles to understand why a child would wish for a monster that eats people. Aurora finally admits that she was abused by her adoptive parents in the past, and that pain is what led her to make such a wish. Mads then wonders why the monster also killed the foster parents who treated her well. Aurora explains that some of them were kind, but they still became victims. Deep down, Aurora believes the monster is actually meant to punish her. She feels it wants to eat her too, as if she deserves it for being bad and unworthy of a family. Hearing this breaks something in Mads. He reassures her in his own way, making it clear that he does not believe she is a bad child. Mads checks the floor of Aurora's room, but finds nothing at all. Aurora explains that the monster only appears at night, and that every night it comes back, always trying to hurt her. Mads asks if she has ever wished for the monster to disappear. Aurora has, but it never worked. Mads then wonders what would happen to her if the monster were truly gone. Would she have anywhere to go, or anyone left? Aurora admits that she is completely alone. With all her family gone, no one would care for her. She then turns the question toward Mads, wondering if he has anyone who would miss him. Mads stays silent. Aurora quietly makes it clear that she would miss him if he ever left. Later, Mads goes to meet Laverne again, this time carrying a suitcase with the body of the assassin inside. He asks whether the organization sent killers after Aurora the night before. Laverne admits the truth. The organization did send 2 assassins to eliminate the child who had seen Mads' face and identity, all for the sake of security. She even assumes that the suitcase Mads brought contains Aurora's body. Laverne then shares the results of her background check on Aurora's adoptive parents, and nothing suspicious turns up. When Mads asks about Aurora's biological parents, the answer is even more unsettling. They vanished without a trace as well. Before the conversation can go any further, Aurora suddenly appears. Laverne is shocked to see that the child is still alive. Aurora came because she thought Mads was about to leave her behind, even though he had not finished what he was doing yet. As the situation unfolds, it becomes clear that Aurora hired Mads to deal with the monster she believes killed her parents, and that the monster also took the life of an armed woman the night before. This revelation rattles Laverne. She realizes that Mads has unknowingly helped Aurora eliminate one of the assassins sent by the organization. Doubting the idea of any monster, Laverne suspects Aurora might have been responsible for killing the second assassin as well. She urgently tells them to leave the city immediately if they want to survive. Back at the apartment, Brenda returns. Aurora lets her inside and warns her not to step on the floor if she does not want to be eaten by the monster. Brenda brushes it off as a child's joke. Mads quickly sends Aurora to hide in her room, where she slips behind the bed. He then explains to Brenda that they are in serious danger. Aurora believes every one of her foster parents was eaten by a monster, but Mads is convinced they were murdered by someone. If that is true, then the killer is still after Aurora and will not stop until the job is finished. Mads asks Brenda to call for backup, certain that the attackers will strike again that very night. Through the window, they spot a group of people standing outside the apartment. Mads is sure they are assassins waiting for their chance. Brenda immediately contacts her team outside, revealing the truth at last. She is not a social worker at all, but an FBI agent, and she orders reinforcements to move in. Mads explains his growing suspicion that Aurora may have witnessed the kidnapping of her biological parents. That would explain why assassins keep coming after her again and again. Soon after, there is another knock at the door. Mads opens it to find Laverne standing there. She urges him to leave immediately, warning that 6 assassins have been sent by the organization to kill both him and Aurora. Mads tells her not to worry, assuring her that he already has a plan. Inside the apartment, an FBI agent has called for backup and help is on the way. Laverne cannot believe what she is hearing. She tells Mads to stop caring about the child, insisting that Aurora has seen both his face and hers and is destined to die anyway. She urges him to save himself while he still can, but Mads refuses to abandon Aurora. Furious and frustrated, Laverne finally turns away and leaves. Inside the apartment, Brenda finally reveals that she is an FBI agent investigating the disappearances of Aurora's adoptive parents. Mads pretends to be surprised and asks why the FBI is involved in Aurora's case. Brenda admits she still has no clear answers. The only real clue comes from the home of Aurora's first foster parents, a bottle of nail polish found beside Aurora's bed. No one knows why it was there. Mads brushes it off, joking that maybe the monster spit it back out. Just then, they hear a noise coming from Aurora's room. Mads goes to check, worried an assassin might have slipped inside. Aurora panics and tries to warn him not to step on the floor, but Mads ignores it and tells her to hide behind the bed and stay there. As Mads moves out of the room, something unseen follows beneath the floor. Aurora tries to warn him again, but he insists she stay hidden. Suddenly, gunfire erupts from outside the door, and Brenda is hit. An assassin has arrived. Mads grabs Brenda's weapon and returns fire while dragging her into the bathroom for cover. Outside, 2 FBI agents arrive and open fire on the assassins, forcing them into the apartment. Inside the bathroom, it becomes clear that Brenda is wearing a bulletproof vest. She regains consciousness and asks for her gun back. Mads peers under the door, and that is when he feels it, movement beneath the floor. In that moment, doubt turns into fear. The monster Aurora talked about might actually be real. Mads immediately warns Brenda not to step onto the floor outside. Then the monster appears in front of the assassins. Panicked, they unload their weapons on it, but nothing works. One by one, the creature devours them. From inside the bathroom, Mads hears their screams echo through the apartment. He frantically looks around for anything useful and grabs the nail polish. An assassin is suddenly thrown into the bathroom. Brenda reacts instantly and kills him. She shuts the door again as the sounds of the remaining assassins being slaughtered continue outside. The few assassins still alive cling to the walls in terror. One of them reaches for a fallen weapon, but the monster rises again and consumes him.
Oh my God, what is happening?
The rest descend into complete panic. Brenda and Mads throw the dead assassin's body back outside. They watch as the monster drags it down and disappears beneath the floor once more. At last, both of them accept the truth. Aurora was not lying. 2 FBI agents then enter and order the surviving assassins to come down. Brenda tells Mads to get Aurora out safely while she takes the assassins into custody. Just as Brenda and the FBI prepare to leave, the monster suddenly seals the apartment door. It emerges again and devours everyone inside. Strangely, none of the chaos and violence can be heard outside, as if the sound itself is being swallowed. Mads uses the hippo statue to move across the floor and reaches Aurora's room. He tries to get her to escape through the window, but before they can get away, the monster appears and swallows Mads alive, then sinks back into the floor. Aurora is left heartbroken, believing that everyone she has grown close to has been taken by the monster. The next morning, Aurora hears a strange sound. To her disbelief, Mads is still alive. The monster spits him back out, rejecting him because his body is covered in nail polish. Overwhelmed with relief, Aurora rushes to him and holds him tight. Not long after, someone else arrives. It is Laverne. She is stunned to find both Mads and Aurora still there, and immediately assumes that Mads must have killed all the assassins who came after them. Mads warns her not to step on the floor, but she ignores him. The truth then comes out. Laverne is Mads' biological mother. Mads desperately tries to stop her from stepping forward, but it is already too late. The monster suddenly appears and devours Laverne alive. As the creature turns back toward Mads, Aurora steps in and stops it. To her surprise, the monster listens. It calms down and becomes gentle. In that moment, Aurora finally understands that the monster never wanted to hurt her. It exists to protect her. With that realization, Aurora is no longer afraid. Mads decides it is time to leave the city. He takes Aurora with him, while the monster follows close behind, fading into a shadow as they disappear together. So the moral of the story is, if a kid says there is a monster under the bed, listen first, question later, and maybe keep some nail polish ready.